I am a hypnotist, and I'm going to share with you a hypnotist's dirty little secret of what the hypnotist does once their clients close their eyes to go into a hypnotic state. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Hey there, I'm Dan Candell. I'm known worldwide as the anxiety relief guy, and I've been a hypnotist for more than half my life. Now, I use a very modern approach where I combine modernized hypnotic techniques with other modalities to help people change on a really deep cellular level using the power of the subconscious mind and the nervous system regulation as well. And I call it my subconscious synchronization method. And this is how I've worked with thousands of clients around the world to help them have more wins than losses, more good days than bad days, and more breakthroughs and breakdowns, all without unnecessary stress, unnecessary anxiety. So you can be the person you need to be to achieve more and to embrace your inner badass. In essence, I'm the guy that can help you unfuck your mind and uplift your life. And that's why I have a community called the Unfuck Your Mind Collective. But hey there, if you're new to me, welcome to the conversation. If you're not new to me, welcome back. It's great to have you back. Now, I know the intro sounded a little creepy, like, ooh, what do we do once our clients close their eyes? Ooh, this is going to be juicy. Here's the thing. Not all hypnotists operate the same way. And there is a very traditional version of hypnosis where we usually break the session down into certain parts or components. And the first thing that happens when a client starts working with us, we'll do a greeting or an intake where we'll get a lot of information from you. We'll gather some information and some insight as to why you're here so we can best help you solve the problem that you're coming in for, so we can get to know you a little bit. We can gain some rapport with you. Then in a more of a conventional hypnosis session, we are sometimes doing what we call concentration exercises, where we in a way test your level of receptivity so we can get a good sense of how we'll hypnotize you. And then we'll proceed with doing a hypnotic induction. And the hypnotic induction is usually when you close your eyes and you go into a hypnotic trance, and that's where we do the change work. And there's so many different ways of doing change work. There's direct suggestion, which is when we're communicating directly with your subconscious mind and we're basically giving you directives. And your subconscious mind accepts them in the form of usually post-hypnotic suggestions, which happen after you are in the waking state. And you're like, oh, that sounds really good. The hypnotist is telling me I'm going to feel less anxious in this situation. The hypnotist is telling me I'm going to stop biting my nails. The hypnotist is telling me I'm going to eat less and enjoy it more. The hypnotist is telling me I have more confidence when I give presentations or I'm more motivated. This sounds great. And that is a really good method that is a more of a traditional method. Another method that we sometimes use is regression methods of hypnosis. And regression is usually bringing you back to the root cause of your problem. Now, I used to practice this way, and I'm going to say it's a little bit of an older style of hypnosis. It's not really one that I practice as much anymore, but it is one that is still widely used that's very effective for the right client, as is direct suggestion work. Direct suggestion work is good for the right client. Regression work, good for the right client, for the right problem. And like I said, that's why we do a pre-hypnotic interview where we'll interview you and ask you questions and fill out an intake so we can get the information that we need from you so we can decide what method we're going to use. Now, there are some hypnotists out there that only know one or two methods, so that's what they're going to use. And unfortunately, not all methods work for all people all the time. And that's why you'll hear people saying, oh, I went to a hypnotist and it didn't work. Or my uncle went to a hypnotist and it didn't work and they had this experience. Well, every hypnotist has different trainings and every hypnotist has different knowledge bases that they call upon. So, for example, I'm going through my master's degree in counseling psychology. So I actually apply hypnosis to a lot of otherwise therapeutic modalities. And it makes that therapeutic modality a lot more effective. Now, I'm not practicing therapy with the client. I'm just using the most effective methods of certain practices and applying different modernized hypnosis techniques and strategies. And Another method that people will use is conversational hypnosis, where the client doesn't necessarily have to close their eyes and we don't have to do a hypnotic induction. But if we're going more of a traditional route, after we do the hypnotic induction, we'll usually do a deepener. And a deepener is what deepens the level of comfort and receptivity and the hypnotic state in the client. And a deepener after the induction may be as simple as saying, in a moment, I'll count backwards from 10 down to 1, and every number that I count, you'll go deeper and deeper and deeper. And that, again, it works very well for the right client. But there's something in my mind that says, well, what the hell does deeper and deeper, deeper mean? So if I'm using that method, I'll break it down for the client and say, maybe deeper for you means you become even more heavy and more comfortable, or maybe you become even lighter and you feel as if you could just float. So I'll describe certain feelings to a client. And then after the deepener, like I said, that's when we'll do direct suggestion work, regression work. We'll also do metaphor work or symbolism, or we'll tell stories, because the subconscious mind learns in stories, metaphors, symbols, and images. So we'll use a lot of that as well. Then we'll usually end with post-hypnotic suggestions, which takes place, and it kind of wraps up the entire session, and it takes place of, or the post-hypnotic suggestions actually take place after the session is over. And then we do an awakening or an emergence, where we'll emerge the client from hypnosis, usually by counting forward from 1 to 5. And then we'll do a post-session interview, where we'll ask you about what your experience was. We'll talk about some of the things that may have happened during the session. And then we'll give you your homework, if there's homework, and then we'll say, see you later. Now, that is the general structure of a hypnosis session. But like I said in this video, I'm going to share with you a hypnotist's dirty little secret. What do we do when you close your eyes, if that's the method of hypnosis that we're using? What happens once the client closes your eyes? What does the hypnotist do? Well, I have hundreds of students of hypnosis all around the world. And I have the privilege of talking to thousands of hypnotists, going to conferences and conventions. And I often ask them, what do you do during a session when the client closes their eyes, if that's the method of hypnosis that you're using? And I've gotten varying responses from people saying, well, I just go into autopilot, and sometimes I'll take out my phone and I'll play a game on my phone, or sometimes I'll text my friends back, or sometimes I'll just crack open a book and read a script to them, and which is they're like usually reading word for word, verbatim. They're reading a piece of paper or a book, much like this one, actually written by one of my best friends, Dr. Richard Nongard, Expert Hypnosis Scripts, where this one is for, let's see here, let me open to one right here. This is a script that is used for peak performance. And it says, induction, use the induction of your choice. Deepener, use the deepener of your choice. And then suggestive therapy. These are the direct suggestions. The great thing about hypnosis is that even though I'm giving you suggestions, they're not really suggestions that are coming from me. Instead, these suggestions are really coming from within you, because you've asked me to guide you through this process. So you might be wondering, why would someone pay a hypnotist hundreds or thousands of dollars if all they're going to do is crack open a book and read you a passage from a book? You might feel a little slighted, right? Scripts are they're almost like prescriptions that a doctor will give you. And you pay a lot for insurance, which pays a lot for the doctor, for you to go in to get diagnosed with a certain problem, and then the doctor will give you a method of treatment, and you'll follow that treatment plan, right? So all you're really paying for, you're paying for essentially that doctor to go into his file of prescriptions or treatment plans and to give you that treatment plan, right? That's what you're paying for. And that doctor has a lot of resources and guidance on their team in order to help you through that. And that doctor may send you to a specialist. And I'm what they call a specialist. So I am a specialist hypnotist. And that's why I said I specialize in helping people with performance and anxiety. And I specialize in helping people reprogram their mind so that way they can overcome usually high functioning anxiety. So once you go to a specialist, the specialist isn't really consulting all these computer programs and everything like that. The specialist pretty much just knows what to do with you. And that's exactly me. When a person comes to me who has high functioning anxiety and they need to perform better, I know what to do with them. But it's almost like a dance as well. And that's why I put people into a group program, because I know how to lead a group and that's my strength. And I've now helped thousands of people overcome anxiety using my subconscious sync method and my group method. So I know how to help people with this. But usually when you go to a generalist hypnotist, a lot of generalist hypnotists will use scripts. And the reason why is because that's originally how they're taught. So at first, hypnotists go through a basic training and they're usually taught to read a script. And then after they get practice with a bunch of people reading scripts, then they learn scripts are not the best way to work with your clients, because not every client is going to fit the form of a script. So then what you do, then you start learning more advanced methods and you learn how to go beyond the script. So it kind of depends on like how the hypnotist is working with you. But I have heard a lot of people say, well, once the client closes their eyes, I'll open the book and I'll just read from the book. Now, if that solves your problem, who cares? It solves your problem, right? It solves your problem. The thing is, the reason why they're qualified to read that passage to you is because they know how to get you into that state so that they can read that passage to you. And they know exactly which one to read based on all the other steps that you've gone through. So who cares if they just crack open a book and start reading a passage to you, because they had to guide you through this whole other process to get you there. As I said, I've heard many other answers. Excuse me, I got a cough. I'm going to mute the microphone. Hold on. Sorry about that, and I'm not even going to edit that out. So I've heard a lot of other answers. I've heard people say like, oh, when a person is hypnotized and their eyes are closed, I'll take out my phone and I'll start playing a game or something like that. I've heard other people say like, I observe the client. Now, these are what other hypnotists have told me. I don't feel comfortable just staring at you when you're hypnotized. I don't feel comfortable either taking out my phone and texting people. I don't feel comfortable opening up a book and just reading the book to you. Because when I work with clients, it doesn't matter if we're working in group or one-on-one, I want to feel connected to you. And I want to feel so tuned into you that we have like this flow of energy going, this flow of compassion. So what I do if I'm working with a client individually, I take a lot of notes. And while I'm taking my notes, I'm writing down different strategies, because I have in my mind, I have hundreds of ways to help you. And as I'm talking to you, I'm narrowing down which ways are going to be the best for you. So I'm taking notes usually. And when I'm taking notes, I'm writing down processes that I'm going to use with you. And we're also writing down words, specific words that you use to describe the problem and how you want to feel. Because when I recite those words back to you, guess what's going to happen? You are going to feel super connected, and those words are going to mean more to you than any words I could come up with, because they came from you. So when I'm working with a client individually, I write down a lot of notes, and while I'm working with you, if I do use an eyes closed method of hypnosis, a lot of times I'm looking at my notes and glancing back at you, and I'll usually pick a focal point that's slightly off to the side of you, and I'll usually zone in on that focal point, because what I'm doing, in a sense, I'm hypnotizing myself to get into a zone so that way I can just speak in a free-flowing way. that is very natural. And now I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing this since I was 13 years old, and I'm 37 from the time I'm recording this video. I've been doing this for a very long time. So I've mastered the art of hypnotic language and being able to speak to people in a way that is very natural while still using the words that you gave me that matter something to you and that means something to you, and how to guide you through these processes that go beyond just a traditional hypnosis script. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with using hypnosis scripts because we have to bring you through all of these other steps before we get there. That's just a very small part of the session. Do I think it's right for people to be distracted and do other things like play a game on their phone or text message their friends? Whatever works for them, I don't know. That might help them get into flow and process. I don't know. But I know this. If one of my clients ever pulled one of these and saw me on my phone, I charge a lot of money for my sessions and for my programs. And if people found out that I was texting my friends or playing a game, they'd probably be very upset with me. and rightfully so, right? Like, I would be upset if someone did that to me. So what is the hypnotist doing once the client closes their eyes? Hopefully, they're going through their notes or they're looking at something that can guide them while also observing you. And the reason why I say observing you is because and again, this is just me, but I'm not going to sit here and like glare at you and stare at you the entire time because that's freaking awkward. Like I said, I usually look at my notes and I pick a point that's slightly next to you. And then every once in a while, I'll glance by you because I want to see if you're going through certain physical symptoms that tell me you are in a hypnotic receptive state. And it can be lacrimation of the eyes or like tearing of the eyes. It could be eye fluttering, breathing changes. You swallow a little bit differently. Usually like your face will turn flush or blush. Sometimes like you'll have like little twitches. I look for those as well. I also see what your feet are doing because a lot of people when they get hypnotized, their feet kind of do that. So I look for all these different things. And once I see those signs, I no longer have to observe you as much. And that's when I'll pick a spot off over here and I'll just kind of go into my own zone as I'm deciding what I'm going to be saying to you and how I'm going to be saying it in a way that's going to resonate best with you. And that's if I'm using an eyes closed method of hypnosis. There are many other methods of hypnosis that I'm going to be talking about. But the thing is, I don't always rely on hypnosis because hypnosis works different for different people at different times for different problems. And not everything is going to work for every person. So I change up my style a lot. And I'm going to be sharing more hypnotic secrets, confessions of a hypnotist, of some different styles that I'll use. So with that said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot out of it. This one was a little bit more fun because I gave you some insight into a little bit of controversial stuff, I guess. Scripts are very controversial in the hypnosis profession. Even having clients close their eyes is controversial in the hypnosis profession. I have not talked to a hypnotist yet where they're like, "Oh, I just stare at my client the entire time," because that would be creepy. I've not met a hypnotist who has said that. Most of the hypnotists I talk to, very similar to me. They'll get into a zone or they'll look at their notes and they'll casually glance back. In my office, I have a really nice fireplace that I look at and everything like that. Often I'll sit next to the client, so I'll be next to them and I won't be like staring at them. So I'll be kind of looking off into the distance. So all of these, again, it depends on how I'm working with a client and what methods I'm using. Now, if I'm working with groups, a little bit different. And I'll share how I work with my groups in another video. With that said, my friends, make sure you follow my page for more. If you haven't, make sure you rate, subscribe, comment, and like. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. And if you are interested in joining my Unfuck Your Mind collective, all you have to do, find me on Instagram or Facebook and or email me and just shoot me a message. at one of those platforms below, so that way I can send you all the details of how you can join the Unfuck Your Mind Collective, where I help you unfuck your mind and uplift your life. I'll talk to everybody soon. I'll see you in the next video. Be well, do good, be true to who you are. Happy healing.